Hey everybody, this is Jeremy T from J and D Reptiles and Reptile Talk, and you're listening to Herp Herp Hooray.
It says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You are about to enter information overload, a worldwide transmission with Herp Herp Hooray's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
We had all the What's Up World? Welcome back to H3. I'm your host, Jason Rossi. We're streaming on RossiReptiles.com, and as always, we're bringing you the best and brightest from the reptile community. My guest this week is no different. He's a reptile breeder, and some of you may know he's also a trumpeter. Jeremy Turgeon from J and D Reptiles is this week's special guest. Jeremy, welcome to Herp Herp Hooray. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. Awesome, man. So, Hurricane Sandy just came through our neck of the woods. How'd you fare? We actually fared pretty well. The major part missed us by about 20 miles or so. We just got a lot of wind and a decent amount of rain, but nothing too crazy, thank God. Yeah, right, man. I know a buddy of mine out there in Long Island, and that's not pretty right now, you know? Yeah. I've recently been getting in contact with some friends of mine in Manhattan and along the Jersey shoreline, and it doesn't sound good over on that side. Now, did you get hit last year? Because I know that's when we got hit. Was another storm came through. Yeah, with that October snow. Yeah, we got hit with that. We had no power for 7 days. So that was interesting. I had to split up my collection into 3 different locations, and I was trekking along through the city to go check up at each location to make sure everything was doing well until we could get a generator in, because we didn't know that the storm was going to be that bad, and I didn't have a generator for the room. And as soon as all that happened, everybody was buying generators, so it took me days before I could finally get one in and bring the collection back. So that was quite the experience, and I was bracing myself with Sandy when we thought that we were really going to get hit. I was bracing the generator and just trying to mentally brace myself for what was potentially going to happen. Yeah, definitely. Last year, I think it was probably the same storm we got hit, and it knocked out power, flooded everything around out here. You know, some people had no power for a month out here, so it was pretty bad, and kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and learned my lesson from that. And I just wanted to make sure my family was able to survive something like that again. You know, it's something you want to be ready for. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So let's get into the snakes. So, all right. Where do you see the market? What do you see that doing? I think the market, at least from what I've seen from the shows that I've been doing on the Upper East Coast in New York, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, I think the market's in a slow and treacherous shift, and I think it's been being seen in other places. I spoke to some vendors who were at Tinley who kind of noticed it as well. We already know everybody's got ball pythons. You know, pretty much everybody breeds ball pythons, and it seems like everybody's got the same stuff on their tables. I did a show out in Braintree, Massachusetts. It's a small expo, so there were some vendors there who are pretty well known in the local area, and then there were some just kind of like hobby guys who maybe produced 2 or 3 clutches and just needed to sell off some babies, and they had identical offspring pretty much. You know, and their prices were right around the same, so sales were very hard to come by. You know, we actually sold nothing at the show, and I had more than just ball pythons there, but you know, some of the stuff that I have were higher end colubrids, and a lot of those pricier snakes don't sell at the smaller shows. But I've noticed this trend around the market after talking with different breeders and hearing about different experiences at expos,
that ball pythons have become oversaturated, and they've always been the big thing. But now it seems like big breeders are competing with. I don't want to seem like a jerk, but the nobodies. You know, and I don't mean that to anyone in particular, but you know, the breeders who are just maybe producing 2 or 3 clutches and doing it as a hobby are competing with people like BHB and Nerd and some of the larger breeders for the same clientele. And obviously the name brand breeders have better sales because they're more well known, you know, when it comes to quality and stuff. But they're still fighting for the same market. And when you have, you know, from what I hear, the Tinley NARBC was a show that was like 90% ball pythons. You know, what do you have that somebody else doesn't that's going to make it sell? So I've seen the ball python sales kind of drop from certain breeders, not everybody, but blood python sales, carpet python sales, and Asian rat snake sales have kind of bounced up. So that's kind of where I see the market might be going. And I think the blood python trend has been growing recently pretty strongly. I think a lot of breeders would say the same. There's a lot of new mutations that are coming out. And I think once they start to shed that reputation of being these crazy, vicious snakes, more people will start to get into them. And that'll really make the industry boom. I've also noticed even some retic sales that have bounced up. A lot of the super dwarf stuff is becoming more popular. It's a little more easy to manage than others. So I've just been really paying attention to some of these weird shifts. And some people disagree with me 100%, and they say that ball pythons are still king, and they always will be. You know, so I guess there's room for speculation, but that's what I've seen over probably the last like year and a half or so.
Yeah, I've only been doing it like, you know, 4 years, and just from attending shows, going to shows around here, that's what it seems like. Everybody has them, so it's always been in the back of my mind, you know, and you just wonder, and you know, I'm just attributing it to, you know, I'm just a rookie basically still, so I have to pay my dues in order to make it. So I don't know, you know, it's definitely, I definitely think about it a lot, believe me.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, I mean, you know, when I was at that expo in Braintree, Mass, you know, at first I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just like not many people have money. You know, we all know the economy is not what it used to be, so sales are kind of low in general in that sense. But I was quick to retract that as I watched some people drop some decent sums of cash in the thousands on boa morphs and locality boas, and I mean decent sums of money. I also watched, I think the kid was like 14 or 15 years old, drop about $2,000 on a group of piebalds that were just babies, and I was like, wow. I wonder, you know, I had to think to myself, I wonder what he's doing with the piebald gene at such a young age. But you know, you also see the prices on some mutations are dropping like rocks. You know, if you look at, I saw a spinner ball python today for like $200 shipped, and I was like, are you kidding me? That's, you know, it's still a double gene animal. Like, you've got to be kidding me. You know, you see piebalds starting to come down, males around like $450 or so. You know, and people, I don't know if it's people just thinking that the value's dropping or if they just need to make a quick buck for whatever sale. But it's kind of disheartening to a lot of people, especially to some newer people who, you know, they get a project, you know, let's say they buy a pair of het pieds. You know, they bought a pair of het pieds 2 years ago when pieds were selling for $1,000 and up. And, you know, they're finally ready to breed them, and they think, okay, you know, I can make some decent money, maybe save up a little money for college or get a car or whatever it is they were going to do, or just have some extra spending money. And now that hope is literally been cut in half in some respects, where they're not seeing that return. And, again, they've got to compete with everybody else who's got, you know, pieds on their table or spinners on their table. I sold a spinner male this year for over $500, and that's a price that people haven't seen in a long time, and that was through an internet sale, you know, or, you know, through Kingsnake. So, you know, people will still pay the prices, so it's kind of shocking to me that the prices are dropping